is there such thing as an addictive personality, or is addiction a behavior that comes out of trauma and unhappiness? Because there's a lot of people who, we all have challenges in our lives, but most people don't become addicted or, so what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, this is a great question. And in fact, it's a question I get asked a lot. And I would say that everybody has the opportunity to technically have the experience of what we would call addiction or substance use disorder. Every person's psychology and biology has that opportunity. In certain environments, it's cultivated greater than others. Like, so for example, there's a great study that was kind of done to determine whether people have short-term dopamine seeking behavior versus long-term willpower behavior. And it's you've probably heard about it. It's the study done with the marshmallows and the children, where they take children, they put them in a room, they go, here's one marshmallow. You can have this now, but if you wait 1 hour, we'll give you 2 or 4 or whatever it is. It's essentially saying that if you're willing to wait and not be so driven to seek dopamine, if you're willing to wait, you'll actually get more. And they kind of use this study to determine whether or not someone is a dopamine seeking personality, like instant gratification, or whether they're able to manage their emotions and wait a little bit longer. But here's the interesting thing. There's another study that was done, kind of a follow-up to this. They took children, they did the same thing, but with half of the kids that waited, they didn't get the marshmallows. Like, they didn't get the additional ones, and the other ones did. And they took of those kids that waited and half that didn't get it and half that did. When they did it again, the kids that waited but didn't get the prize ate it immediately because distrust had been entered into their environment. So there was a unique aspect of their psychosocial environment that had been influenced, that another group hadn't been influenced by, that drastically changed the way that their motivational psychology worked. And that's really important to understand, that typically when we look at psychology and when we look at addiction, what we're looking at is not necessarily a personality type, but a personality whose response is crafted by their lived experience and the unique environment in which they were cultivated in. And that's really important.
Unsafe one, because
which is an unsafe one. Exactly.
I have to soothe myself now. I can't wait.
Yes.
So immediate gratification becomes the more important priority.
And we also have a very unique psychological and motivational architecture that is always trying to get the most for the least. So whether you're willing to seek instant gratification or whether you're willing to wait, your psychology and your motivational system is always designed to try to figure out how to get the most for the least. And if you're a person who's experienced enough sense of unsafety, insecurity, and lack of hope, your drive to soothe that is going to be incredibly high. And the easiest, most repeatable option you have to successfully soothe that pain will be the one you are most attracted to, not addicted to, attracted to. It's like Johann Hari, who wrote Lost Connection, says, we really shouldn't call it addiction. We should call it bonding. That what is happening is that this individual is creating a meaningful relationship with a behavior or a substance use of behavior that seems to care for their life in a way and with enough ease and repeatability that they have not discovered in any other aspect of their life. And that's really important. It's far less pathology. It's far less biology, as much as it is a culmination of factors influenced by environment, through social environment, physical environment, and a unique individual and how they find themselves in it. So rather than say, what's the addictive personality? It's more about, why does you having an addictive personality make sense?
Tara, do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I, again, can agree with everything that Adam said. And I would say that very much along the same line, that we all have, I forget exactly how you phrased this question, but, I guess we all have an addictive personality. Like, that is part of our human biology and physiology, is to have a dopamine response and to, as Adam stated, want to get that dopamine response for the least amount of effort. That's why things like social media, I would be hard pressed to say that anyone isn't somewhat a little bit addicted to the scroll feature and the refresh feature and all those different things. It's like we have these innate tendencies within us, and that more so it's a spectrum and it's a skill set that, historically has not been taught. I would say even today is not really taught, but we're slowly making progress on helping people to understand how to work with that part of themselves, because we live in a world that's constantly hijacking it. So yeah, I would say that it's a spectrum, that some people it is, easier quote, easier for them to fall into an addiction with a certain substance or behavior or what have you. But I'd say that you'd be hard pressed to find a human who does not in some way have some sort of coping strategy that does not serve them, that is along this path. Like, to me, people think of addiction as this like siloed thing where it's like, oh, you're an addict. Whereas like, no, addiction is like the human condition. And there's this subset of people who have gotten to a point on the spectrum where it's like this diagnosis and this label, and they have this very specific treatment and a label and like pathway and all these things. But to me, it's the human condition, and the process of recovery is also the human condition. Like, to me, recovery from substance use disorder is understanding yourself, understanding your coping strategies, looking at the way that you interact with the world, the things that don't serve you, understanding who you are, how to build this, new lifestyle and identity that serves your mental wellness, and building these new healthy coping skills and strategies. And to me, that's like what we're all here to do as humans, is understand ourselves and heal and recover. It's just, through the lens of addiction, that's like one way that it happens. And it has more of like an extreme note and a very specific label and idea to it. But to me, like, we can all relate to anyone who is struggling with an addiction. And this is maybe a bold statement, but I would say that if someone feels like they are so far above that they can't relate in any way, I would say that you're disconnected from that part of yourself that is, because I truly believe that, that is the human experience. And that is part of our job and responsibility here in this lifetime, is to get to know ourselves and learn how to take the best care of ourselves amidst this world and all of these coping strategies.